Welcome back, YouTube. And for those who do not know me, hello. My name is Noah, and on this channel we talk about death, true crimes, haunted people, places, and things, spiritual reparations, heavy on the spiritual reparations, and how you can fuck around and find out. If you are not subscribed to this channel, subscribe now. If you're not following me on TikTok, Facebook, or Instagram, follow me there as well. Now, before we even start today's episode, I would like to extend my deepest prayers for all of our people that are in Florida and down south that are going through this whole Hurricane Milton catastrophe. It makes my heart hurt every time I think about the worry and the fear that y'all must be going through. And I just want to send prayers out to all of my followers that are being affected by this natural disaster. And I'm praying that you guys make it through safely. Before we start today's episode, I want to thank everyone that has booked the Bali trip. We only have 2 more spots, if I'm not mistaken, 2 or 3 more spots. And if you don't know what I'm talking about, I have been talking about this Bali trip that is going to commence in 2025, July of 2025, where you get to travel with me and we do all kind of spiritual fun activities. And if you are still wanting to go, please book your spot now. I may be adding a second date for another location very soon, but this one needs to be sold out first, of course. So if you're interested in going to Bali with us and experiencing medicine making, ceremonial cleanses, waterfalls, and a whole bunch of other activities that's not even listed on the site that I am doing the trip through, then go ahead and click the link down below as well. On today's episode, we will be collaborating with one of my favorite creators on this app and on TikTok, and that's Rebecca Journey. Now, if you don't know who that is, I have featured her several times in my Haitian Scary Storytime videos, which are some of the most popular videos on this channel. I'm going to be leaving her YouTube and her TikTok down below. Give her a follow. She is a person that just is so vibrant and reads scary stories from different parts of Africa and the Caribbean and some US stories. But y'all know if I say she brings the heat, sorry. If I say she brings the heat, then she brings the heat. She is one of my favorite creators, hands down. So make sure, please, 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 that you are subscribing to her channel and following her over on TikTok. This first video absolutely creeped me out. It's a part 1 and 2. And it is of a celebrity that I'm assuming that is overseas. And she is the wife of a celebrity. But she talks about how she sold her soul to the devil and all the things that Satan showed her. Y'all gotta just listen to this story.
Bet. I'm back with another spooky story. But this one's a little bit different. Have you guys ever heard about Erica, Bamboo's wife, the lady who worked for the devil for 18 years? So Erica was born in Kenya, and she remembers growing up that her father was very financially stable, so her family never had to worry about money. She always had everything she needed as a child. Around 3 years old, her grandmother came to visit, and everything would just go to shit. So Erica was born to born-again Christian parents. However, her dad's side of the family were a bunch of sorcerers. That means his mom, including his sister, his grandmother. Basically, Erica was the 4th generation sorcerer. And every new generation is supposed to be more powerful than the previous generation. So Erica's parents, being born-again Christians, would only expose her to Christianity and God. However, around 3 years old, when the dad's mother, her grandmother, came to visit, everything went to hell about 2 months after that. Well, they winded up having to move from Kenya to Uganda. And at this point, even though they were living separately, they were more so under the grandmother's care because the grandmother would take care of a lot of bills. And the grandmother would also spend a lot of time with Erica, which was completely normal, and the parents never suspected anything of it, even though the grandmother would give Erica these herbs and these medicines and things like that. They always assumed it was for the best. And as Erica is growing up, she's getting deeper into Christianity, and that is bothering her grandmother because she is supposed to be the most powerful sorcerer of the family. So one day she decided that she would take Erica and she would then initiate her into Satanism. Erica was just 8 years old. So her grandmother took her to this gravesite where the grandmother's mother was buried, and she made them spend the night in the cemetery. So she laid on top of the grandmother's grave, and she also made Erica lay on top of the grandmother's grave. They spent the night sleeping in the cemetery on top of the grandmother's grave. Yes, she was a sorcerer. And that day was the first time that she would then travel through the spirit world. She left her body, her soul left her body, and she started traveling around through the spirit world. There she met her ancestors, the ones that came before her, and the sorcerers, obviously a line of sorcerers. She met some uncles, she met some cousins, and, grandmothers. And she also met the angel of death. Erica really wanted to stress that you are not your physical body. Your physical body is simply an instrument to move you through the physical world. However, there is an entire spiritual world that exists. And in the spiritual world is where everything begins and ends. The spiritual world moves much faster than the physical world. She describes the speed of the spirit world to be like thunder and lightning. Your soul is the real you, and it is a replica of your physical body. Well, in the spirit world, she would meet the angel of death, who gave her an assignment. She said some of her assignments included, but not limited to, causing accidents, breaking up marriages, and disturbing ministry. She said when she woke up, she was obviously petrified, and she returned to her parents and she returned to her life, and at that point, she started going to this school. And before the initiation, she was performing really well in school. But then when she returned to school, she started just acting up. And she was not the one to be played with, because the second she realized what she was able to do, she would cause absolute havoc to anybody who messed with her. Her teachers. If any of her teachers pointed her out or tried to embarrass her, she said later at night, she would go to sleep and she would allow her soul to leave her body, and she would visit those teachers. And in the spirit realm, she would fight them. They would be completely unaware, just getting beat up by this girl. And the next day they would wake up and they would have swollen fists and like marks on their bodies, as if like they actually went through a fight, as if it wasn't just a dream. So students and teachers really started to become aware of Erica. And at that point, she had left that school and went over to another school called Victoria something. This is still in Uganda. Now, this is when Erica's auntie, her dad's sister, would step into the picture. Her auntie, a sorcerer, was just not feeling the idea that Erica was growing up in this Christian home and worshiping God. This would seriously take away from who Erica is meant to be, and she was not having it. So she somehow managed to convince Erica's parents to let Erica come live with them. And at that point, it wasn't that hard to convince them, because Erica was becoming a troubled kid. And over at her auntie's house is where she was introduced to secular music, to alcohol, to, partying and all the lit things about life. Things that she hadn't experienced when she was living with her parents. And her auntie would take Erica deeper into Satanism. She went on to have an entire journey where she was working with the actual devil itself for 18 years, where she completed many assignments. And she says she also met a lot of people's favorite celebrities. And she said that she understood that really amazing musicians and singers were either from the kingdom of God or from the kingdom of darkness. She also says that a lot of stuff that we use on earth, like a lot of products and even technology, come from underneath Lake Victoria. Well, if you guys haven't heard this story, because I'm not sure, let me know and I will definitely continue this story. It would definitely be in multiple parts because this is a long story. This is 18 years. I watched the entire hour interview and went on a deep dive, so you don't have to. And I'm probably gonna post them on my YouTube. Make sure you guys subscribe to my YouTube channel. We are so close to 4,000 subscribers, you guys. And let me know if you guys want me to talk about the music industry and like everything that's going on in there, because I think that's another video I'm interested in making. No, for real, follow me on Instagram so I know that it's freaking real. And make sure you leave a comment, follow me on TikTok, and yeah, I love you, abducted humans. You guys are the best. Okay, I'm here to finish the story time. Let's do it. So I want to clarify a couple of things before I move on. One, Erica was actually born in Uganda, not Kenya. She just grew up in Kenya for those 3 years. Also, she didn't necessarily live with her auntie. She just went to her auntie really often, especially during holidays. It gets crazy, you guys. So remember in the last story, I said that her aunt started introducing her to alcohol, drugs, circular music, and celebrities and all that stuff. And she said that celebrities are either in the kingdom of light or the kingdom of darkness. And as Erica mentioned, that if you are an artist, And a lot of the artists that she met were a part of the Kingdom of Darkness. And these are like hyper successful, famous artists. And her aunt would introduce her, which is right up the aunt's alley, right? Because the aunt was a sorcerer, and majority of these celebrities are getting to where they are due to sorcery. Erica said that each artist that had a project coming up, that project was attached to some sort of tragedy. And that is because a lot of those artists who sold their soul has to basically sacrifice in order for their career to keep rolling. This particular celebrity, she was a huge fan of. It was a week before this project release, and he was in a car, and the car got totally wrecked. Everybody in the car died except for the celebrity. So one day, as Erica's walking to school to go take her mock exam, she notices that that celebrity is in a car near her school. And she had known him and was a huge fan of him because her aunt introduced her to his music. So she's used to seeing him on her TV screen. So when she realized that it's him in the neighborhood, she would literally run towards the car and push through the crowd to get to see her favorite celebrity. So she gets to the car and the celebrity asks her to come with him. However, it's important to notice that Erica was with her little brother. Now the celebrity in the car is asking Erica, yeah, come with us. And Erica, who's with her brother, is like, the brother's not jacking it at all. He's like, nah, why would we go with a strange man? And Erica's on a different type of time because she is starstruck. She loves him. But before Erica could make a decision, the strangest thing happened. While she's standing in front of the car, she feels her spirit leave her body and enter the car where her favorite celebrity was seated, to which her soul was then trapped into a glass container. And it wasn't just her that was trapped. Some other unfortunate souls were also trapped in this glass container that her favorite celebrity is holding on to. At that point, when she notices what happened, obviously she is freaked out because she cannot exit this glass. And she's not even in her physical body anymore. She says that there's many ways to get to the devil, but the most two popular ways are the people who sold their souls, or in her case, the people who were trapped. And Erica had just been trapped. So she's in this container with the other souls, and the driver just starts driving until they get to this island on Lake Victoria. The celebrity exits the car and carries with him the glass container that had the souls, walks over to the water, and out of nowhere, this boat emerges into the lake. The celebrity enters the boat, and this is when Erica says that she also noticed that there were other types of people that were entering the same boat. She said that they weren't all going in the same place. This was only Erica's first time. Those other people entering the boats had already been through this rodeo before. So she gets to the boat, and the boat starts to sink. And as the boat is sinking, Erica is obviously freaking out because she thinks like this is the end. But little did she know, there's actually an entire world right underneath Lake Victoria. Okay, so part 3, I'm back. Don't ask about my shirt. I was too lazy to change. So I just did more work than it would have been to just change his shirt. Anyway, so in the previous story, I said that at this point, they're all on a boat, and Erica is just witnessing different types of people coming into this boat to go wherever they're going to, right? To the underworld. And she said these were all different types of people, from businessmen to different artists, actors, like whatever, right? So while they're on the boat, a whirlwind starts to happen in the water, and inside of the whirlwind emerges an enormous fish, and the boat slowly starts to sink. Now Erica is thinking, this is it, this is death. The boat entered into the whirlwind, and the enormous fish opened its mouth, and the boat entered inside of the fish. At that point, Erica made a biblical reference because she said that Noah, I believe if I'm not mistaken, was inside of the fish for a certain amount of time until the fish spat him out and he was preaching the word of God. So why couldn't it happen to her? So at this point, the fish spat them out and they all go in different directions. So as everybody goes their own directions, the artist holding Erica and some other people made it to their destination. And at this point, they made it to the gates of hell. Now, Jessica says that, yes, hell literally has gates. And she also made another biblical reference, but I didn't contain that. She said that the second those gates opened and she walked through the gates, that was her first time utterly just freaking out, because this was her first time seeing demons in real life. She describes demons as being skinny, very frail, very pale, hairless. She said that their eyes are sunk in and they're very invasive. They're heinous, to say the least. And as soon as they enter, even though she is trapped inside of this glass thing, she's still seeing all the demons around her coming close to the celebrity holding her and trying to touch the people around. They're invasive, so they would come really close and just try to poke at you. They don't get to see humans very often, so Erica's body was still stuck or caged inside of this glass container. until they got to the seventh gate of hell, where the devil resides. At this point, they remove her soul from the glass container and they put restraints around her arms. The gates fly open and there is this enormous pyramid. It's like it's made of gold. And sitting all the way at the top of the pyramid was no other than Lucifer Morningstar. Erica went on to describe how the devil looks in her interactions working with him for 18 years. I know you guys don't like these parts, but I do. I like a little suspense and I do love a good series. Also, you can find a documentary online, but you won't find a storyteller like me to tell it. So you're gonna have to wait and comment part 4 because I am dropping that tonight, but I do have to get to work. That's honestly the real reason. Make sure you guys subscribe to my YouTube channel. My name on YouTube is Rebecca's Journey. It's the same name on TikTok and it's also the same one on Instagram. The link is in my TikTok page, so make sure you follow me on Instagram as well. Keep up with me, and if you really fuck with me, make sure you interact with my other content, okay? Because I know y'all pull up for a story time, but I am more than just the spooky stories that I tell. I have personality and pizzazz. Okay, ciao. Yes, I can, and I'm sorry I took 3 days. So basically, Erica went down to hell, and when the 7th gate opened, all the way on top of the pyramid, the gold pyramid, was Lucifer. He came down to talk to the guy, the celebrity who bought in Erica and everybody else. And Lucifer came down, and she describes Lucifer to look nothing like they describe him in the mainstream media. So he doesn't have red skin with the horns and horrifying looking at all. He's not ugly at all. She actually says that Lucifer is not what you would expect because he is actually beautiful. He is still a son of God. She described Lucifer to being translucent. So you like almost like you could see through him, except he has lost his shine. He's lost his light because he was a fallen angel. And she also described him as being the musical genius. So like within like every step or him spreading his wings, like you could just hear all these beautiful melodies, harmonies, rhythm. He has all of the voices of humanity in one. He doesn't need a choir. He is the choir. He is the king of music. And now I need y'all to think about the music industry. Even though he wasn't scary presenting, Erica was petrified by the things that he was doing. She describes him having in one hand a human hand that he was eating raw, and in the other hand, he had a glass of blood to wash it all down. So he's a beautiful man, but the act of what he's doing was terrifying to Erica. So Erica would start to scream and try to call out for her mom, to which the devil responds to her. He laughed at her first and then responds by saying that nobody is coming to save you. Not your mother, not your father, not the government, not the state, not the popo, because I'm in cahoots with all of them. He read her destiny and told Erica that basically her purpose is to bring as many spirits into the kingdom of God as much as possible. However, the devil had other plans because he is snatching her up to come work for him instead. So now her job is to bring in as many spirits into the kingdom of darkness now as much as possible. Erica talked about the different departments of hell that exist. So she talked about a specific area that was used to manufacture diseases, this other area that was used to manufacture technology. All of this is very important. Keep that in mind. She talked about hell actually developing food for us, that like a lot of food that we eat is actually from hell, and they're packed with diseases. She also said that a lot of companies that we know and love are from hell. She talked about they're spreading diseases through vaccines and food, and talked about the devil wanting to bring in a new world. Then this new world of chaos, and his way of changing the world would be through fashion and technology. And when I say fashion, it's not the fashion that you may think about, not your clothes or your hair. He is talking about a lifestyle. So over sexualization, especially in the music industry, a lot of Satan imagery, especially in music videos. Artists love to play on the concept of heaven and hell for whatever reason. And of course, she went into technology as well. And she also talked about the mark of the beast coming in a form of technology. She also went into detail about all the specific tasks that she had to do for Lucifer, and exactly how she managed to trap all of those unfortunate souls. I literally just dropped the entire full story on my YouTube channel. It is a 20-minute story. The whole thing is complete, and I go into all of the details in the world, okay? You won't miss a single beat, because everything literally is in that story time. Thank you so much for watching. Please make sure you go and you subscribe to my YouTube channel. It is the same name as on TikTok, Rebecca's Journey. Same thing for my Instagram. The link is in my bio where it says Instagram. Please click on that so you can follow me so I can get brand deals. Thank you. Follow me on here too. Thanks. I love you, Abducted Humans, and I'm sorry you had to wait so long. And to make up for it, I will be dropping another story time either tonight or tomorrow morning. So I just know this week, expect a lot of stories from me because I feel like I've been slacking. Or I've just been living my life a little too much. Thank you for watching. I love you, my abducted humans.
Child, it's an age-old tale of celebrities. And it's not just our American celebrities that we know, but celebrities in general selling their soul or working with Satan, Lucifer, or this low vibrational idea of it. Y'all stay prayed up. This next creepy story time is about the time that a woman's mother worked amongst the dead. Just listen.
I am back with another spooky story. Apparently in Ghana, the dead sometimes lives amongst the living. Spooky story time. You might not want to watch this one at night. So the person who submitted the story from Ghana, we're going to call her P. This is something that P's mother witnessed when she was just a teenager. So P says that her mother goes for hawking every day after school due to their financial problems. She uses the word hawking, but I don't know if she means working. She says her mother was a very hardworking and fearless girl. She said her mother was that girl. She went to both places where she was allowed to go and even the places that she was not allowed to be in. So there was this one particular market where her mother would, in her hawking, she would take a rest, and it was by this woman who sells avocados. As I like to call them, avocados. There were rumors that there were ghosts selling amongst them in that market. And they were not just ghosts that come and go in the night. No, they fully lived on during the day and blended with the living. So much so that these dead people living amongst the living, they would go as far as getting married. So no one would even suspect that they were previously dead. So there could be a shortage of avocados, but this woman right there, she had all of them, okay? She had the fresh, juicy, fatty avocados any time of the year. And her avocados were tasty and lustful to the tongue. She never lacks customers. People were always rushing to her avocado stand. So this woman had a husband with 4 kids, and she had been married to this man for 10 years. And this man had never met her family, nothing. So one normal day, P's mother does her regular normal school routine and then goes down to the market. So you know, the usual, she stops and rests at the woman's place for a minute. P says here in Ghana, Fridays are for funeral wake keepings. So people from afar come to buy stuff for their funerals at the marketplace. So on that particular day, that Friday, P's mother witnessed something absolutely horrifying. What she saw was definitely not in her bingo cards that year. So her mom was helping this woman sell her avocados because she could see in front of her there was this large crowd of people, and this poor woman was getting overwhelmed selling all the avocados by herself. So as P's mother is helping her sell the avocados, these 3 women approached the stand. So these 3 women actually came to the marketplace to buy some stuff for a funeral, but they winded up getting attracted by the crowd of people rushing to this one particular avocado stand. So these 3 women waited their turn behind the crowd, and when they approached the table, they saw the woman selling the avocado. And boy, I don't think that was in anybody's bingo cards that year. Because the woman selling the avocados was someone they knew from their village. The village that they just came from. And when they mentioned her name, in front of everybody, the 3 women and the mother and anybody else who was there, the avocado woman literally vanishes into thin air. She left everything behind. Poof, vanished. And mind you, P's mother this whole time was standing right next to this woman. So she's watching everything happen like right in front of her. They winded up looking everywhere around the market, but they could not find this woman. This wasn't just like a smoke show disappearing. Nah, that bitch was gone. She dipped off the scene. So after the search, the women explained that she was a woman who once lived in their village and that she was never married until she died. So yes, that woman selling the avocados this whole time was a dead woman. Now word gets back to the husband, and y'all, he did not take it well. He literally ran mad. 2 of her kids wound up dying of unknown reasons. Now y'all remember she had 4 children, right? 2 of them died of unknown reasons, and 1 of them drowned at a beach. And finally, the last one, who was often prayed for, had mental issues. Who was constantly losing her mind and going mad. Now P's mother, on the other hand, was a helper to this dead woman, and she's been around her for pretty long time. Her mother winded up having severe measles, who she says if it was not for the interference of God, she would have been dead by now. Her mother was saved by nothing but prayers. And when they dug deep into the history of the dead woman, they found out her motive. And her motive was dark and twisted, to say the least. Because her plan was to destroy and unalive anyone who got close to her, or anyone who loved her for that fact. So we left Nigeria and now we're in Ghana, and Ghana was definitely a lot of fun. Before we leave Ghana, I want to tell one more story from Ghana. So if you have any stories from out there, be sure to submit them to me via either my TikTok DMs or Instagram DMs. I will be telling one more story from Ghana before we head to the next country in Africa. Where would you guys like me to head next? I'm thinking about South Africa next. I haven't seen those girlies in a minute. If you guys really support and love me, make sure you leave a comment, share my video, subscribe to my YouTube channel, and follow me on Instagram just so that I know that it's real. Duh.
My Caribbean and my African folks be having the scariest pot of keys. They be having scariest stories. Because, excuse me, ma'am, what? This woman was dead the whole time? Like, dead. Like a ghost, but not a ghost, but in the flesh, selling avocados. I love the way she says that. This next story comes from Ghana, and it is of a woman who had a snake for a baby. Yes, you heard me right. A snake for a baby.
I am back with another spooky story, and this one is yet another submission from Ghana. Apparently, snake babies are also common in Ghana. Spooky story time. You might not want to watch this one at night. Not that y'all listen to me anyway. So this story is from Ghana in Ashanti region. We're gonna call the person who submitted the story Jada. So Jada was living in a rented room at the time, and the landlord had 3 wives. So Jada describes the first and second wives as being very jovial and friendly. But the third wife, she was always moody. She always came off angry, like the girl had no friends. And the third wife, the angry one, girl, she gets pregnant with her 3rd baby. But this pregnancy took her more than a year to have that child. The baby took way over 9 months, and when she finally had the baby, it was a girl. So they described the baby to be a very, very beautiful girl with big eyes. And the baby was also pale, damn near white. So a year goes by and baby's 1 now. And this 1-year-old toddler is still not able to walk, sit. The baby's neck is still not even able to hold the baby's head at 1 year old. So this baby is constantly laying down. Whenever people would come to visit, she would smile at them. And this child was full of smiles, as she would even smile while she's sleeping. And well, this is just weird. So one day the father decided to get some spiritual help. So to help his daughter, he got a herbalist. The herbalist winds up coming to the house, having some concoction and putting it on the baby's head, and still nothing. Herbalist did not work. Fast forward, it's like a whole year. So now the child is 2. The child still has no abilities. So now it gets to Ramadan. Now keep in mind, the father of the child is Muslim. The person says, then we got Ramadan, one of the big imam, again, don't know if that's a typo. And the father of the child is explaining to this man that the child is 2 years old and still cannot walk, still can't sit up, still can't hold his head up. And the imam was like, what do you mean the child is 2 and still isn't able to sit or walk? So then the imam asked to see this child. So the father went, got his daughter, and brought it back to the man. And when he brought him back the child, imam looks at the father and asked him, why did you bring me a snake? The imam then told the father that that child is a snake and needs to get rid of it ASAP before it gets rid of the mother. And now the mother of the child is here listening to all of this, and she doesn't believe what the imam is saying, and she believes that he's a fraud, in fact. So the mother is over it, ready to get out of here. Mind you though, that child has never cried from the time she gave birth, and the mother herself has become so skinny and so pale by that point. Well, the baby got to about 2.5 years and they had to attend a wedding in the father's hometown. Well, there was a herbalist that also attended said wedding. And the minute the herbalist saw the child in the wedding, he was startled. He asked the mother holding the child, why are you holding such a big snake? What is wrong with you? And everyone was shocked. The mother starts throwing insults at this herbalist. Like, you not finna come for my baby. Everybody been coming for my baby since she was born. Like, enough. And this herbalist is crying, telling her, like, you're lying. You know your baby is a snake. So why are you lying for your child? The man then told the mother, if you were wondering how one can possibly get a snake baby, this is the segment for you. The man told her, you remember when you were pregnant and you visited your mom and there was a woman who came looking for your mother? It was hot outside. You were so angry. You told that woman not to disturb your peace. And when the woman asked you to give her a cup of water because it's hot outside, you told this woman that you were not her servant and that she should get out of the house. Find your way the fuck out. No water, no nothing. ASAP. And the guy is like, well, do you remember that? And the mother was like, yeah, I do remember. And the guy told her, well, you need to find that woman. And within that woman holds all the answers to all your questions. I hate to do this to y'all, but I gotta do it to y'all at least once a week, man. Y'all gotta come back for part 2. This story's getting too long. But I will tell y'all a little spoiler. She did go visit the lady, but this lady was not your ordinary lady. Y'all, she wasn't even a witch. Just wait till you hear part 2. And if you want part 2, you better comment part 2 down below. Ghana and Nigeria, shout out to y'all because y'all got the spookiest stories out there. So basically, the herbalist told the woman that the baby she was holding was a snake and that she needed to go find the woman that she had disrespected months ago while she was pregnant. She's gonna have all the answers that she is looking for. So the mother of the child told her mother about what the herbalist just told her, and she asked her mother if she can describe the woman for her, because the woman had come to see her mother previously. So the mother would know this woman. The mother goes on to tell her that that woman was not no ordinary woman, that woman was in fact the river goddess of their hometown. So now the mother of the child decides to go visit the river goddess. But there's a problem because there's no direct route to access the river goddess. So they have to go through a third party. So through searching, they wind up finding this guy. And he is a priest who worships to river goddess. So he knows her, he does dealings with her, he's pretty well connected with the river goddess herself. So they find this man and they go to him. And once they get there, they arrive and this man told them that he's been waiting for them to come. It's been 2.5 years. What took so long? And he goes on to tell the woman that the daughter that she has, come to find out, the child that the lady had is actually one of the daughters of the river goddesses. And she was in fact given to the woman as a form of punishment. So she was given specific instructions to come with this baby. She was told to come back with her husband. She was told to return with her husband on a fortnight. And when she comes back, she should bring back the baby, a white cloth, 7 white eggs, and 7 white collard nuts. Then a white hen. And before they left, the priest gave them a concoction for the woman to drink and bathe. So boom, the day comes, her and her husband goes to go see the priest. Then around 2 a.m., they went to the riverside. When they got there, the priest recited some incantations. He took the hen, the fowl, and circled it around the baby 3 times, then threw it into the river. He then placed a white cloth and eggs in a calabash. He placed the baby on top and hid behind an oak tree. For about an hour, nothing happens. The baby's just laying there. Then the hour mark hits, and then the baby starts to transform into a big black snake. The snake then turns, swallows all of the eggs, and swims into the river. And the mother, witnessing her baby girl transform into a snake right before her eyes, she couldn't take it. Like, she can't take it. So she literally fucking faints. So they pick her up and they bring her back to the shrine where the priest gives her yet another concoction. She had to bathe in that concoction and she was also warned not to go back in that house for 7 days. So she winded up going to her mother's house. And Jada, the person who submitted the story, said the people who had to stay in that house for the 7 days, because remember, only the mother didn't have to stay there. Everybody else who lived there was valid, because when the snake comes back, it's only looking for the mother, its host. So the rest of the people who were there, their hauntings began. Jada describes those 7 days to be so scary in the house. Being haunted for 7 days straight is insane. Things like in the middle of the night, you could hear an angry snake hissing or chicks cry. Imagine you're laying in your bed and all of a sudden you just start to hear chicks crying. Dogs just going wild, barking. And not to mention the temperature of the house there was a cool breeze in that house. Like it was coming from in the house. The house was so cold. And on the final day, the 7th day of their haunting, they could hear a woman laugh. Just like a very sinister laughter. She told me the woman and the husband's names, which I don't have to say at this point. And again, sorry if I butcher this, but they are Dagomba by tribe. Wow. So in case you're wondering, I know somebody's gonna ask that question. The baby is no longer. It was a snake in the form of a baby. Wow, Nigeria and Ghana came and shut this shit the fuck down with them snake babies.
Okay, let me break this down because it's moving parts. So you can't tell me this woman gave birth to a snake because she disrespected an elder? Baby, let me just tell you this. In African and Haitian culture, you cannot do that. They will cross your ass up. Exhibit A, the video we just watched. And on top of that, can you imagine the pain the mother must have went through? Because she lost the child virtually. Because the child was never hers. The child was a curse. I need a drink. This next clip is her talking about a myth that I've heard about, and I was going to do a story on this channel and on TikTok. It is the Tokoloshi. And this little mythical creature is what Westerners would call the devil. And just listen to the experience that someone submitted.
I'm back with another spooky story. We've officially left Nigeria and now we are in Zambia. In Zambia, there's a local folklore called, and I'm sorry if I butcher this, bear with me, Utumbuma or Tokoloshi. And they might not be as much as a myth as people think. Spooky story time. You do not want to watch this one at night. We're gonna call the person that submitted the story Cyrus. So when Cyrus qualified for grade 8, she was transferred to a boarding school. The boarding school was in a remote part of Mukonchi district, Zambia. The school was deep in the rural countryside, completely surrounded by dense forest. There was no fence, just trees stretching out in every direction you looked. The school itself was blended into the wilderness. So Cyrus says that their dorms were simple blocks. Each one was separated by grade level. So the grade 8th dorm where Cyrus stayed, it was near the edge of the school. Now keep in mind, the doors in the dorms were flawed. Like some of them you couldn't even lock, and for most of them, they couldn't even close by themselves. You had to lean up against the door in order for the door to stay closed. And even worse, the toilets were about 100 meters away from where they were staying in. And the path to that toilet was so dark, it was pitch black. And the school grounds had no lights after lights out, so the place would just turn completely black. One night, Cyrus wakes up in the middle of the night needing to go to the bathroom. And remember how the bathroom is 100 meters away from where they were staying, right? So now her bed was located all the way at the end of the dorm, right? So that would mean that she would have to walk past several other beds to get outside. So as soon as Cyrus gets to the door and she opens it, there's this strange feeling that just washes over her. She said a sense of dread she couldn't explain. Then suddenly she starts to hear faint drumming in the distance. And this is echoing from deep within the forest. And the sounds of the drums are getting louder as if it's coming closer to her. And something is telling her yo, do not go any further into this forest. So Cyrus decided that she was just gonna use the bathroom right outside the doorway. She wasn't gonna troop it all the way to the toilets. Now keep in mind, she's peeing and she's horrified. So soon as she get done, pull up her pants and she just zoomed back inside the dorms. But the thing is, because she's in such a hurry, when she gets back inside, she didn't fully close the doors all the way in. And now keep in mind, remember I was telling y'all that the doors sometimes had problems closing. So at this point, Cyrus just jumps back in bed and she's just looking at that door. So she's laying down under the blanket, just looking at the crack that she left in the door. This is also why I don't like cracked doors. Anyway, so suddenly the drums just stop. And Cyrus says that the silence that followed was thick and unnerving. As she laid there watching the door, trying to convince herself that it was nothing. But it wouldn't be a story time if it was nothing, right? Because as Cyrus is staring at that door, she said that she saw them. She described two short, shadowy figures. They slipped through the cracks in the doorway. Cyrus says they were not human. She said they were no more than 70 centimeters tall. They had bent legs with swollen bellies. Their skin was pitch black and they were topless. One of them held a small knife with feathers hanging from it, and the other one carried a calabash. Cyrus says that she recognized them instantly. Though she had never seen them before, in local folklore, they are called the Utumbama or Tokoloshi, the creatures of the dark used in witchcraft. She watched them move quickly, gliding past the other beds, one behind the other, and Cyrus just watched in horror, praying that they would not notice her. And as she's laying there, sure enough, they approach her bed. And the first creature, the one with the knife, made eye contact with her. At this point, Cyrus was frozen. She said that she wanted to scream, but she could not. Literally nothing would come out. Her body refused to move. She was literally stuck. The creature lifted its hand with the knife shining against the moonlight, about to strike her. And Cyrus says with all her might, she tried to scream, "Blood of Jesus." But the words were stuck in her throat. Finally, as the creature is raising the knife even higher, she managed to force the words out. "Blood of Jesus," she shouted it. And in an instant, both the creatures just vanished. They were gone as if they've never even been there. The room fell back into an eerie silence, and at this point, Cyrus was way too terrified to even try to go back to sleep. So she proceeded on pulling an all-nighter and prayed all night. And the following morning, remember the spot that she peed by the door? She said that she found small footprints around the area that she was peeing, and mind you, these footprints would have been way too small for human feet. Cyrus was way too terrified, she didn't even tell anybody. But come to find out, some of the other students were actually experiencing the exact same thing in that school. Needless to say, Cyrus did not go back to that school the following semester.
If you ever have time, look up that little mythical being and what it looks like. Because according to mythology, it has a large member that it slaps over its shoulder. It's so crazy. I read a whole book on it. It has been claimed in some African areas, like it's responsible for crimes. Like they've brought it up in court cases. It's absolutely unhinged. Look it up, educate yourself, because some of this stuff is just like, it's beyond just, oh, it's a folklore. No, this is real to these people, and I believe that it's real. This next submission is from a woman who swore up and down that she's seen her baby daddy shapeshift in the middle of the night after work.
Hi guys, I'm back with another spooky story. This story is brought to you by Luna from Jamaica. So when Luna was a teen, she got her first bar job, which would require her to take a taxi to and from. The bar she works for closes at 10:30. But if there's still customers inside, they can't quite close until everybody's out. So there was this one weekend, and the customers were there at the bar until like 11, so way past closing time. So by the time the bar closed and she heads to get her taxi, when she arrives at the spot, there's no more taxis because at that point it's too late. All the taxis were gone and Luna still needed to get home. So back at Luna's home is her young 2 kids and her baby father. And her baby father, being a jealous man, would not allow her to just catch a ride with anybody from the street. So this girl literally had to troop it all the way home, which was over 3 miles. So she walks 3 miles and finally reaches home. She reaches home, but this is when things get a little spooky. I don't know if you want to watch this one at night. So Luna's house is actually off of the road, so she would have to pass through these like bushy tracks and big trees before she can actually reach her home. Okay, so picture this. There was a piece of concrete in the middle of the track, right beside a big mango tree. So, as Luna is coming off the road to go through the track, she peeps her baby father. And she saw him very clearly, sitting there on the piece of concrete, the concrete next to the mango tree. So she's approaching him and he looks up and sees her. And the second he sees her, he jumps off the concrete and just runs behind the mango tree. Luna thought it was a bit strange. Why would he do that? But she didn't think anything of it, so she just laughed and just called out his name. As she's walking towards the tree, she is talking to her baby father saying, "Yo, why are you hiding?" So she reaches towards the tree and calls his name again and witnesses her baby father quite literally shapeshift into a big black dog. And this big black dog looking creature, this creature literally took off running into the bush. And now suddenly Luna starts to feel unwell. Her head started to swell, and then that's when it hit Luna. Whatever that was not her baby father. It was definitely something extremely evil instead. She hurried up and got inside and just started frantically knocking on the door. When one of her young children finally came to her rescue and opened the door. She said when the door was open, she didn't even bother talking to anyone to tell anybody what happened. She just ran straight into her bedroom to lay down. So she went to sleep and woke up. The following morning, her baby father asked her, "What type of evil did you bring into this house with you?" As in the previous night when he went to use the bathroom, he saw something, a figure, a person-like, standing in the corner of the bathroom. Thank you so much, Luna, for submitting this story. I will be tagging her, so if you guys have any questions, if you guys want more details about the story, as this is all she sent me. This is unusual. People usually like to stay anonymous, but hey, she wanted you guys to know it was her.
I'm sorry, I would have put him out. Luna, I would have put him out because why is that energy stalking you? You need to go get cleansed, sir, before you can stay up in this house. No, 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 no. This next story comes from a woman named Rita and how she was in the United States and was dragged down a hallway by a bunch of shadows.
I'm back with another spooky story. And if you think that living in America means you're safe, I have a story submission from the Bronx. We're gonna call this person Rita. You might not want to watch this one at night. So Rita said, growing up in the Bronx, she used to live with her mother and her grandmother in this 3-bedroom apartment with 2 bathrooms and 1 living room. She said while living there, she always had a vivid imagination, even as a kid. But she said she never really thought much about like her imaginations or anything. The things that she would constantly see, because she's always been more in tune with the more spiritual parts of life. So she would see things that other people could not see. She says she had one experience though that scared her to death. And low-key me too. She said it was around 11 o'clock at night during a big storm. She had just finished watching a Disney movie, so nothing with paranormal activity or anything. She says as 11 o'clock hits, she starts feeling this presence. She refers to the presence that she's feeling as them. She said she felt them coming to get her. She said the demons made it clear to her that they were coming and would try everything in their power to take her life. So remember how I mentioned that there were multiple bedrooms in the house and 2 bathrooms? But the first room that everyone always seems to look at is her grandmother's room. And it's at the end of the hallway, by the way. And it usually gets really dark in that hallway. They didn't have lights in the hallway, but where Rita's room was located, if her lights were on, it would light up the entire hallway. So at first, Rita says she starts to hear knocking. And the knocking is coming from down in the first room. And she says she thought nothing of it because, again, she has a vivid imagination. But the knock grew louder. And she started to hear laughing coming from each of the rooms that were along the hallway. Sinister laughter. And as she's hearing the laughs, she starts to see shadows growing along the walls. And these shadows start moving in different motions, almost like a circle. And she says as she's looking at this, she notices that there's basically a main shadow that's different from all the other shadows. And it seemed like this 10-foot shadow, like it was so long that it was hovering over the ceiling. Well, all the other shadows just started circling around this one 10-foot shadow. She said she didn't notice that the shadows actually had red eyes. But there was one shadow, however, that didn't have red eyes. It was that same 10-foot shadow that was hovering. He was tall and distinctive from all the other shadows. She says she winds up locking eyes with the tall shadow. And this is not a dream, this is real life. As she locks eyes with this shadow, the shadow just froze. The shadow just stared at her for a good minute, just looking. Until the tall shadow started moving in a weird motion. Rita describes it as like a maniac. She says as she's looking at this shadow stare at her, she turns to run away. But, stick with me now. She says the shadows got to her and started to drag her by her feet and tried their best to drag her into the long, dark room at the end of the hallway. And she says as she's being dragged, she's screaming, she's trying to hold on to the walls until her grandmother ran out, obviously due to her screaming. And after her grandmother came out, all the shadows disappeared, leaving just her laying down on the floor by herself, looking insane. Rita said this was one of the I think she meant multiple paranormal experiences that she's had living in the Bronx, because she can tell a few more that never ended well for her. I feel like that one was like your classic haunting.
It's giving Hatman 3.0 because, baby, what? New York is a portal. It's absolutely a portal. Y'all be safe out there. This next clip comes from a submission of a woman who went to a marketplace and used to swear by the food until a dead woman sold them food. I'm sorry if y'all hear tapping. Those are my dogs.
Guys, we're still in Nigeria. Legend has it that during market days, spirits would come out and cosplay as humans and sell produce to people. Spooky story time. We're gonna call the person who submitted the story Jojo. So Jojo never believed in what legend had to say. She will always go get her produce during market days, and plus she knew exactly who to go for to get her stuff from. So really not any of her concern. So during a market day, Jojo and her grandfather set out to go buy some gari, also known as cassava flow, to make soup. So they go to the market, and the person that they were going to buy the gari from, the cassava flow from, was this older lady from their village. This lady is about 60 years old, and she's very reputable in selling stuff. And she's been doing this for a while. She's been distributing, selling to the entire neighborhood for a while. And also, Jojo wanted to go to that specific lady because she was from her particular village. So whenever Jojo bought stuff from her, she would always give her, a little bit extra. Favoritism, they're from the same village, so she would look out for Jojo. So during market day, she's out with her grandfather. She sees the lady and she goes over and buys her cassava flour. So now her and her grandfather head home, and now it's time for them to make the soup. So they make the soup, and after it got done cooking, it just did not taste like gari. It just did not taste like cassava flow. And everybody's just looking at it like it looks like cassava flow, but it does not taste like it. It tastes like clay, like dirt, like mud. Like it doesn't taste good, and the flavor's not there. The texture, everything about it is off. And Jojo being like, dang, is she the only one? Like, is she tripping right now? Actually, her mom, like, yo, like, this tastes alright to you? And the mom and the dad is both like, nah, this is not valid. Like, they wind up backing away from the food, like, okay, I guess something's wrong with it. And Jojo winds up calling her grandfather. Her grandfather comes to the crib, and they're explaining the situation with the gari, and the grandfather says, well, keep in mind, the grandfather is no stranger to like spirituality and things like that. So to the grandfather listening to the story, to him instantly this sounded like witchcraft or voodoo. So yes, keep in mind, they did know the lady that they bought the gari from. Remember, this is the lady from the village, like they know her, she's reputable. So the grandfather hearing all of this is like, well, somebody had to do something. They're trying to think like, who could be out to get this family? Like, who would do something like that? Instead of accusing the lady and pressing her, maybe it could have been, something else. So the grandfather takes the cassava flow and goes back down to the village to see if anybody did witchcraft on the food. So again, not blaming the old lady, this could have been anybody's work. But when he gets down to the village, he talks to a juju man, told the man that his family bought the cassava flow like yesterday from this lady at the market, and basically it's bad, and he knows like there's something off about this. So the man is asking him, well, who did you buy it from? And he says the 60-year-old woman from the village. This juju man told the grandfather that lady is dead. So the grandfather's like, did she die yesterday after we bought the cassava flow? Juju man is like, nah, she been dead since before y'all even set out to go to the market. And yes, people saw her during market day frying and selling produce to people. So they figured that, okay, well, they bought produce from a dead person. So the juju man winds up pulling up and basically giving them some special water, basically some stuff to cleanse them and their insides and everything. And Jojo said, yeah, that was pretty much very chaotic. And after that day, vouches never to go shopping during market days ever again. She says she doesn't fuck with market days so much that even if she didn't go, but somebody else went and cooked something from the market, she's not eating it. She's not. Like, she says there's too many stories like that.
I've said it once and I've said it 10 times. Stop eating everything that people serve you. And even though they didn't know this one was dead, the fact that their food didn't taste the way it should, it tastes like dirt and clay. Let me tell you something about these Caribbean African countries. They have a power in them that we will never understand. So when I plan, I'm going home. I'm going back to Africa. I want to visit other parts of the Caribbean. I'm going to be very careful as to what I consume because the dead walks amongst them a little bit more than they do us. Like, we got our own ghost. We have our own ghosts. Don't get me wrong. But our ghosts don't show up in marketplace selling food, still collecting worldly currency. This next clip is a submission of a person whose father encountered a rolling calf. We have talked about rolling calves on my channel. Just listen to this story.
I'm back with another spooky story. If you're from Jamaica, have you ever encountered the rolling calf? This person's father has, and this is the story. We're gonna call the person who submitted the story Kwame. Kwame says this is from rural Jamaica, close to Bog Walk. I don't know if it's a typo for dog walk in the hills or bog walk in the hills. As a child, Kwame's father always told Kwame, make sure you come off the road before nightfall. and Kwame never understood why. One day, Kwame had a couple of his friends over. He decided to share with the boys the time a rolling calf ran him down to try to unalive him. So at the time, his father was in his early 20s. His father and two other boys decided to go to a DJ party. So the guys are at this party chilling, and now it's 1 a.m. At this point, they've been here for a minute. It's 1 a.m. and Kwame's father is ready to hit the road. So he tells his homeboys like, hey, y'all ready to go? One of them didn't want to leave yet. So Kwame's dad winds up heading out with one of the guys that he came with. So on the way, Kwame's father had a flashlight. Deep rural Jamaica had no street lights back then. So Kwame's father is holding this flashlight while his friend is walking beside him when they approach this house. So as they're walking, Kwame's father looks over to the house. He saw something weird at the side of the house. So he turns his flashlight on it to get a better view. To his surprise, there was a creature there. They described him to look like a small goat with the head of a cow. Its eyes were burning. So his eyes were fire, and every time it blinked, fire fell from its eyes. He says to the other guy, man, this is a duppy. And now he's starting to remember. He knew the older gentleman who lived in that house. So his father starts calling the name. So he calls his name aloud. Nothing. The creature did not attack them. However, remember the flashlight the father was holding? He had a fresh new pack of batteries in there. Within moments, the battery started to drain. The light just started to go dim really fast. So they took off running. And they're running as fast as they can. And they look behind them just to see that the creature was literally beelining after them, chasing them down. And what saved them was the dogs in the community. While they were running, they came across some dogs from the community. And the dogs, seeing this creature, took off after the creature. So the dogs were now chasing the creature, which gave Kwame's father and the friend a chance to actually get away from this thing. Now remember the friend that stayed behind to party a little longer? He must have met this creature because about an hour later, they heard him hollering on the road, like running straight through the community. So boom, day comes, they see the guy who winded up coming home by himself. And he said he saw a creature at the exact same house with flames dripping from its eyes. And it was the size of a fully grown cow.
How many times I'm going to tell you how to stay indoors at night? Follow directions. I tell you this because I hear very true stories from different creators about being out at night in certain countries. They're spiritually charged. You will fuck around and find out. This next clip is a story time from Rebecca's roommate. And it's about the time that she was in the foster care system and some really weird shit just was going down. Y'all listen.
I am back with another spooky story. And this one, you don't want to watch at night. But y'all don't listen to me anyway, so let's get into it. This story is my roommate's story. And we're gonna call my roommate Ellie. That's her name. So Ellie and her brother had a time in their childhood where they were in the foster system awaiting adoption. Ellie and her brother winds up getting moved from the first place that they were staying to a house in Long Island. Now, Ellie described this house to be absolutely beautiful. It was a mansion, like decorations, high ceiling, definitely no house that she's ever been to before. And it wasn't just Ellie and her brother that was moved to this house. A bunch of kids from the group home that she was originally staying at were too moved to this house. So it's day one and the kids are exploring the house. Around that time, Ellie must have been 7 and her brother must have been 5. So all the kids are in this humongous house and they're all just exploring the space. Someone winds up coming around and designates each kid to a room. Ellie got put in a room with her brother and 2 other children. So keep in mind, as this is happening, as the kids are getting more acclimated to the house, this is all happening in broad daylight. So it hasn't even gotten dark yet. Kids get put into their rooms to put their stuff down, and they notice the closet in the room. The closet was closed, but for some reason, the kids, they seemed to be intrigued by this closet. So they decided that they were actually going to open the closet and go through it and just see what's in there. And before I tell you guys what happened, I want you guys to be able to picture the closet. The closet had shelves. And what the kids at the time did not know was that the last shelf on the closet actually led up to an attic. It was kind of like a secret entrance to the attic. So picture it like this, right? What the kids did not know, though, was that the top shelf would lead to an attic. And obviously, the closet was much bigger than that. So at this point, the kids walk in, they're looking at the closet. You know, it's just a closet at this point. They see the shelves, but, you know, they can't see on top of it. So it's cool. They'll put their stuff down and go on about their business. One of the kids reported to hearing thumping in the closet, as if like there was somebody in the closet. But again, they had opened the closet earlier and there was nobody in there. So what the fuck is that noise and where is it coming from? They kept hearing it and the noise would intensify. Footsteps, thuds. So the kids went to the family of the house, which I'm assuming the owner of the house, and told them about the noise that they're hearing in the closet. So the family of the house decided to go investigate and see what could be making the noise in the closet. So Ellie and her brother, being nosy, decided to go with the family to go check out what it was that was making the noise in the closet. So they opened the closet door and they walk in and everybody's just looking. So Ellie and her brother are standing there just looking around and the family is looking around with them investigating. It seems like the noise and the stomping is coming from up. So one of the members from the family picked one of the kids up so they can be able to get a better view of what was going on up there. So as the little boy is reaching up there to see what's going on, just like a scary movie, y'all, why the little boy got snatched into the attic. Ellie and her brother saw this with their own 2 eyes. They stood there and they watched this little boy literally get yanked and pulled into the attic. Everybody starts freaking out. Everyone. Kids are petrified, the family is horrified, and young Ellie at the time decided that she had seen enough. She has no idea what happened to that little boy. Decided to run outside and call ACS. Y'all better come pick me and my brother up because I don't know where the fuck y'all got me right now. She explained the situation to the people about the little boy being snatched into the closet. At that point, the little boy still hasn't come out. Literally, ACS rushed over and got all of the kids out of the house. Had all the kids standing outside. They refused to let anybody come back inside of the house. And eventually, they took the kids and left and they never went back to the house. If you're wondering what happened to that little boy, so am I. I have no idea. Ellie has no idea. They literally had the kids standing outside. Then they took the kids and just drove off and they never heard anything back from that. And from there, they were moved to the next house.
I have had plenty of attics in my apartments, houses that I lived in on the West Coast. And I refuse, honey. I'm not playing with nobody's attic. Why would I do that? But these were children. You got to understand. And I'm curious as to what happened to that little boy. And her roommate was like, absolutely not. How do you have CPS, which we call it CPS on the West Coast? How you had him on speed dial? She absolutely did the right thing, even at a young, tender age, because I would have been on the phone like 991. Yeah, something just snatched this little boy into an attic and we have no idea. That is all for today, YouTube. Please go and follow Rebecca, okay? I tell you a story, but I will never tell you a lie. She is one of my favorite content creators ever, and she's so sweet. I'm sorry I had to pick Cookie up because she was gone. They done knocked over my ring light, her and her sister, and they want some attention. But follow Rebecca Journey. I'm going to leave all of her information down below, but I'm telling you, you're going to love her channel. She only tells spooky stories. And my big girl wanted some attention too. Ain't that right, Bella? And her sister is going crazy because they fight for my attention. Like, I'm just that special. But if you would like me to cover a person, place, or thing topic, please leave it down below. Until next time, y'all do good, be good, stay safe. And if you want to travel with me to Bali, please reserve your spot down below. Love y'all down.